Hey guys, so we're back again, but this time with a slightly different video. It's going to be a continuation of the previous game, but this time I would like to point out a few things that I find it interesting on these high level games. So immediately you can see that Taz and Lina died in his lane, and so they secured the first Roche at the 23-minute mark. But what I find it interesting over here is how they use the Aegis and how they position themselves in the map after acquiring the Aegis. Okay, so now you're witnessing the Dire having the Aegis and controlling the map, specifically the mid and the bottom lane. And the main reason why he can control the map most of the time is most likely because the Radiant doesn't want to go against a 5v6. And also an Aegis will allow your core players to play greedy or buy greedy items, such as not buying a BKB. But in this case, the Morphling is going for the butterfly. Right, so you can see that the Dire actually forced the fight outside their base by having the Magnus Skewer one of the supports. And so while the Morphling got stunned, he actually didn't use his Manta, as it wouldn't really make sense as well, as the illusion would die quickly the moment it popped. And so you can see how bad the fight actually went, but it's mostly because of the outplay by the Lina stun on the Morphling. Just getting stunned 2 seconds can actually change the fight, as the Raisin actually walk in and suck someone's damage, and in the scenario that the Morphling need to get stunned, he can actually get free hits on the enemy, which can actually pressure them a lot. So what I can say from this fight overall is that the Dire actually make the right move by fighting outside the base with the Aegis, but probably just didn't have enough vision or just a misplay from them by getting stunned from what LSA. And from that fight, the net worth lead went back to the Radiant. And yeah, so while the game is at 50-50, what's important is that you always take advantage of any support kills, or basically any heroes that comes in the map in a split second, as you want to clear the creep wave. Getting any single kill can actually give you advantage, which can eventually allow you to get objectives. And so this is a very interesting play that I've seen from the Dire. You see, after getting the task kill, the Dire actually waited outside their base, and you can see that the high ground is pretty strong, as Alina can just Dragon Slave the creeps away. And it was at that moment that they saw the Ursa in the map, and everyone instantly start TPing for him. And the reason for that is pretty simple, and that is you don't really want to go high ground without an Aegis, or at the very least bring a BKB with you. You can see that the entirety of the Dire actually committed just to find the Ursa that appeared for a split second in the map, but they couldn't catch him as he wasn't dumb either. So as the plan failed, the Morphling just uses Manta to push the top lane, and that's where the Dire smoked for a Roshan play. And so this is a fight that you've seen in the previous video, as the Morphling actually waited out the BKB on the enemy heroes, as he just backed off and let his supports die, as he can't really challenge them when they have BKB. And so the rule of thumb is, if they have BKB, just back off. And if they chase you, try to bait them into a bad fight and overextending themselves. Just like in this example where the Taz actually blink in and kind of pressure his teammate into following up. And that's where the Morphling can get free hits and ended up getting a big Lina kill and eventually the Roshan. And so the bigger question here is that once they have the Aegis, they kind of want to go high ground, right? But in a game like this and the hero that are not suitable for a high ground siege, it's actually pretty risky for the Dire, as they only have a Magnus Skewer and maybe a tiny toss to start the fight. But regardless of how it is, the Morphling actually went for the high ground siege after he bought his new satanic item, which basically means it's time to show off. And you can see how the Dire is actually in formation, as the Magnus is ready to skewer RP anyone anytime. And that is exactly what happens the moment the Lina touched the ward, but the Radiant himself also has their own defensive formation with the Task Punch and maybe even the roll to save. And so just like that, the RP and BKB was kind of used already. And it was getting a bit rough to even continue hitting the melee racks, as the Radiant know that the RP and BKB is on cooldown for the Magnus. And as for the final fight, it's actually pretty interesting to see what's happening here. You see the Dire actually went back and smoked up, but not for the reason that you think. While it's actually pretty common for them to AFK in the triangle and wait for them to fight in the high ground, what they did is that they actually smoked up and went to secure the rune right before heading back to the triangle again. But it was because of this play they actually outplayed the Radiant, as the Radiant themselves actually went out to the triangle themselves to want to force a fight. And it was at that moment they actually saw the Razor, and that's where all hell broke loose. And you can see how the Tiny actually did a pretty good toss by trying to separate the Razor from his teammate. But unfortunately for the Radiant, they are actually still fighting under the ward, so the movement from the Lina and the support set from the Pugna is easily seen by the Dire. And the fight was actually pretty close, as the Ursa almost killed the Morphling after he enraged by countering the RP. And you can see the Morphling actually focus other hero like the Lina, as they are more squishy and easier to burst down right before heading back to killing the Ursa again. And so if you watched it this far, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.